Hi, you're back with Andrew. I'm working on some statistics homework in the area of variability. The next problem I have to work on is the variance, and I have 20 data points in my homework assignment. I'm going to use the online tool cram101.com to help me with this, since the variance will be already formatted in its proper way, and it's a lot easier to work on than a spreadsheet. So let's go to cram101.com. This is the stats lab menu. We're under descriptive statistics, not distributions, not central tendency. Variability is what we're looking for. And scrolling down, we see the variance. So clicking on the variance, the first thing it asks us for is the number of data points in our assignment. So we have 20. Select 20. And let's enter the values. So we have 64, 48, 55, 68, 72, 59, 57, 61, 63, 60, 60, 43, 67, 70, 65, 55, 56, 64, 61, and 60. Okay, let's just real quickly check out our table. Make sure the data is filled in properly. Here's that it is. Later on, if you want to come back, and you can choose random data, and you can practice an infinite number of exercises to make sure you've mastered this particular problem. Okay, so now what we want to do is solve for the formula. This is the variance formula. So we're going to take the formula apart and take it through each step. So the first thing we want to do is get the sum of the scores. So we go through our distribution, add all the values up, and that gets us a total of 1,208. So the sum of the x's are 1,208. And then we want to take and get the sum of each score squared. All right, so we're going to go through the distribution, square each score. 64 squared is 4096. This is, again, handy with cram. It does it for you. And then add those up as well. So we'll end up with a total of 73,894 in our second step. And there we have 73,894. Now what we want to do is go back to our formula again. We're going to solve for the right-hand side of our numerator. And we already have the values we need to do that. So we're going to now take our score of step 1, 1208, which is the sum of the x's, and we're going to square that, and that ends up with 1,459,264. And dividing that by the number of scores in the distribution, which is 20, gets us a value of 72,963.2. So that gets us the right-hand side of our numerator. So the next thing we want to do is go back up here, just take a quick look, and we're going to solve for the entire, the entire numerator. So step 4. Okay, again, we have all the values we need to solve the problem at this stage of the game. So the sum of each score squared was 73,894. And now we're going to subtract from that our value up here of 72,963.2, which we had just done in the previous part. So we end up with a numerator of 930.8. Step 5 then is to take this result here, which is step 4, and simply divide it by n minus 1. And again, to refresh your memory, let's go back up to the formula. We have our numerator, and now we're going to divide it by the denominator, n minus 1. So going down, step 5, click that, and again, so we have 930.8 divided by 19, which is the number of scores minus 1, and we have a variance of 48.99. If we want to look at the optional plot, you'd order the data numerically. So Cram will do that for us. So our smallest value is 43, and we go up to 72. Selecting a number of intervals to reduce the data to something a little bit more meaningful, we'll drop it down to, let's just take 10. And again, our upper level is 72, our lower score is 43. The difference of those two is 29, which is a range. To get the interval size, you take the range, divide it by the intervals that we selected, and round it up. So we end up with an interval size or width of 3. And then for each interval, calculate the frequencies, finding out which scores will fit in those buckets. And so we have a frequency distribution there. And now we're ready to plot that out. So here's our histogram of our distribution, and it has a variance of 40, let's see if I remember, 48.99. I was off, 48.99. And that's the variance. Thank you.